Cullen goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
All righty, here we are, and that would be Tom Sokolowski, late of the Andy Warhol Museum.
As much as me, late. He's in the ground, 6 feet under, yes. Some days it feels like that. Guten Morgen, meine Freundin.
Oh,
I thought I'd be a little German today.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Ja.
No, and because I was just going to ask you, because I swear you were talking to Jess right before we went on,
Yes.
and I thought you said invigilate.
Yes.
All right, I wrote it down because I don't know that word.
Well, to question, to probe.
Invigilate?
Invigilate.
Invigilate.
Yes, yes.
From invigil.
Well, I'm sure it's from the Latin,
Wait.
but vigila, I'm not sure. My Latin is a little rusty.
The only part of that sounds like a word I know is vigil.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not. Okay, invigilate. Meaning to.
Well, like to question, to probe. Someone to ask them, but ask them in a knowing way. Like if I know some information, I'm going to try to ask you without sort of telling you, Lynn, tell me about your first husband, and you don't want to. So I add, then you sort of it comes out like probing, like investigate, like what do you call it when the police take someone in and try to
Torture?
No. No, that's only the army.
Waterboarding?
No. What do you call it when you take someone interrogate?
Yes, interrogate.
It's sort of that part
like
of that,
interrogate.
but sweeter.
But nicer.
That's
invigilate.
nicer. Just like me.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
Oh, such a vocabulary.
Such a vocabulary.
All right. Well, what would be the term for what happened to Nate Harper? Do you know Nate Harper?
He bought it.
He bought it. Now this is hardly surprising. I mean, every day I was making jokes about it.
No, exactly.
I don't know. It's just little drip, drip, drip. We likened it to Chinese water torture.
Well, I
yesterday.
thought it was very clever because of the front page of the paper for the locals, it says Harper out as chief, and then the sub-headline, after meeting with FBI, so the mayor obviously takes a larger, more important agency to prove it to him.
Right.
But then underneath it, my favorite part was in a little, Ravenstahl says, I am not a target of investigations into city police accounts. You know, I said earlier, the lady doth protest too much.
Well, it does. I mean, he did apparently say that on. It's not like a reporter asked. I did not see the press conference, but he wasn't asked. Are you an investigator?
Right.
So this was just
offered
up by myself. Yeah, of course, and that raises.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm not saying he is, but I mean, that's sort of.
For the mayor, this is not good.
No,
it is not good because there's an election right around the corner.
And this is the first chink in his armor.
Well, the first chink.
I mean, that has evidence to it, as opposed to supposition.
There's only allegations at this point, so nothing's proven.
But I would presume from this, I haven't read the article.
Well, the
yet,
FBI
that the FBI has quantifiable evidence.
Yes, but this is all prior to any.
Well, court proceedings.
Right.
Fair enough.
So, but yes, there's enough things that don't seem right, clearly, that I was saying last week. I thought the mayor should tell him to go away.
Or at least suspend someone until we know.
Exactly right. But it is odd, and it's always uncomfortable when somebody, like the mayor, professes to be 100% behind somebody, and I'm not going to serve as judge and jury, which is exactly what he said Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, the guy's gone. So it's, if you'll recall, George McGovern, when he was nominated for the presidency by the Democratic Party, he chose as his running mate a Missouri senator.
What was his name?
Eagleton.
That's right. Oh, my God.
And then it comes out that Eagleton had suffered from depression earlier in his life, and at the time, I don't think they do this now, but I think at the time they actually gave him electroshock treatments.
Oh, I didn't remember. I thought it was drugs.
No, I think it's electroshock treatments.
Ooh, that's heavy duty.
Yeah, and so that came out, and all hell broke loose. And McGovern, of course, famously said, "I stand behind Tom Eagleton 1,000%.
Yeah, right.
I think the higher the percentage goes up, the more you can expect that something's going to come crashing down. And sure enough, kaplooey.
Sure.
So, okay.
I mean, it's so funny. I mean, you can predict these things. Why just not say all the evidence is not in?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's true, but you can't have a functioning department when you've got all this crap going on.
No, but I mean, what I said before, you can say suspension. I mean, in other words, we have our business in our law of innocent until proven guilty, but when there seems to be muck about, you say, well, step aside, and if you are vindicated, you'll be vindicated with all the grandeur possible, and if you're not, out you go.
And this is the thing that puzzled me. First of all, Harper was Luke Ravenstahl's appointee. When Luke became mayor, this was his guy. Okay. Harper has been replaced, and this would have been done by the mayor as well, by a woman named Regina McDonald. And here's something interesting, and I don't get it. It says here that
she's had?
No, her job is administering the secondary employment program, which is at the very center of this investigation.
No.
Well, so, excuse me, but I don't get that. Now, maybe the FBI said we see nothing with her, but it just is odd. She's the head of the very department that is under such scrutiny, and it seems odd that she would then be elevated to be the chief. I don't get that part.
Is she a cop, or?
Oh, yeah, she's very much a cop. And she's pretty high up, and she's got, I think, 2 graduate degrees. She's whatever. And she will be the first female to hold that office.
That's what I've never heard of anywhere in the country, at least of the bigger cities that have had female chiefs of police. There have been a few. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's actually one even in Texas, which was surprising.
Really? That's
yes.
Extraordinarily surprising.
Surprising to people. So I don't know if any of you have anything you want to add to the not particularly surprising end of Nate Harper's tenure as Pittsburgh police chief. Feel free. Tom, if you'll duck your head. You can call at 412-316-3381. You can email at Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. You call and we'll will engage in conversation.
One thing I love my life is given to looking at images. This image, the mayor is usually cheesing it up, etc.
Well, I really think it's a great picture.
Oh, it is.
It's a great picture that
determination, and it's this.
He doesn't look happy.
He doesn't look happy. Well, as he shouldn't. I mean, even presuming he had no connection.
He even looks like thoughtful, which you don't even see him. He looks like contemplative, and
he looks like the Lyndon Johnson.
Okay, but if you had a little thought bubble over his head, he's probably saying, "Oh, fuck, I'm fucked." I don't think there's any seriously brilliant thoughts in his head.
Well, yeah.
So this ain't good for him, but it'll still and also on the front page of the paper there's a wonderful piece reminding us of the life's work of Bruce Dixon, who why are you laughing?
Because yesterday when you read that thing and you could say, and that's why he's going out.
That's why I fired him, and that's why I fired him.
Hilarious.
Well, because
true. I mean,
but I want to refer to that. That's what I want to refer to because Bruce Dixon held the office of county health department head for, what did they say, 30 or 20 years? I mean, 20 years.
20 years.
And I did not completely comprehend how respected he was. And if you read this article, I mean, at the University of Pittsburgh, he was just beloved. He also had almost a missionary zeal to help the poor.
Sure.
So he really was. I mean, this was a good man. And dedicated, who loved this job. And Cyril Wecht is quoted in this as saying that, he was an only child. He had no siblings. He had no spouse. He had no family. His life was this job. And when I saw that, and he was fighting to get it back, he was suing the county. He also apparently was looking if there was some other job like this that he could get, even though he was, 73? He was not done. He was in great condition, supposedly. You know what I thought? I've always maintained, and I know it to be true, that sometimes when a person loses that which is their core,
right.
Their reason for living. Literally.
Yeah, no, I thought that's what you were going to say.
That gives them everything.
They give up.
It is my essence. It is who I am.
Right.
And you take that away from them. It's not surprising when they're dead within a year.
No.
It is not surprising, and I have maintained that. I saw that happen with my former colleague, Doug Hirth, who was in radio, and that was his life. He, too, no family. He loved that job so much. He lived for it. That's what he did. That's all he did. And when they took that away from him, he just went. It was horrible to watch. And he's dead. I wonder, and you say, well, yes, but he was having something with his gallbladder, blah, blah, blah. But when you're under that stress of having lost who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Your immune system goes kaplooey. Stress kills you.
The will to live.
Yeah. And I was wondering, again, speaking of Rich Fitzgerald, who certainly did not intend to kill Bruce Dixon when he
did it say that he had any?
No. Everybody was shocked because he was so
dropped dead, as they say.
Well, no, he was having a surgery.
Oh, I see.
For an inflamed gallbladder or something. But I'm just saying that something. And I wonder if he joins the list of people, and I'm sure you all have anecdotal accounts of people I remember a guy who was a photographer at Channel 4 when I worked there. And he was an old man when I first came here. He was the sweetest old guy. Big, tall, rangy, sweet guy. And he was counting down the days till his retirement. And he had worked so hard all his life, and he and the missus had bought a RV and recreational vehicle, and they had it all planned out. They were going to get in that RV. They were going to travel around the country. He was so excited. He retired. He was dead in 2 weeks. And that's somebody who actually was looking forward to something. And I remember thinking, oh, my God, it was the cruelest thing I could imagine. Okay, we got a lot of people checking in on invigilate here.
Let's hope I'm not right. Let's see.
Okay, Ray writes, not to contradict my favorite co-host, but I've always thought invigilate was to stand watch over and protect. Sort of like keeping vigil. Jess? Yeah? Invigilate.
Oh, dear. Maybe you knocked me wrong.
Do you think, isn't that awful when you find you've been using, yeah, it does, when you've been using a word. I hate that when you're caught.
Oh, well.
Huh?
Oh, well, then.
To keep watch, yeah. Okay,
listeners,
Ray, you win.
It's a shanda to the neighbors. But,
so you thought it was to question, when in fact it is to keep guard.
Keep guard, right.
I wonder where that went.
B-.
Invigilate, to stay awake, be watchful. All right, all you.
Sense. Well, thank you, people.
You see, it's a smart audience.
Yes, it is a smart audience. Smarter than the co-host.
On this point.
On this point, yes. We are all humble.
I figure, no, you cannot do ad-libby live. Without, I maintain that I say at least something either stupid or totally incorrect at least once on every show.
That's what makes it wonderful. And Herbert Hoover is president. Yeah.
I know, and sometimes I find out, I think, oh my God, or people don't call me on. I think, oh geez, you idiot. I spend a lot of time just cringing at home as I think of something I said that I later find out is absolutely incorrect.
Yeah,
anyway.
Well.
But so there you have it.
That's why there's horse races, as someone once said to me.
No, but that's not the way you would use that.
Well, I mean, you can be
it's whenever
wrong
there's
about
a difference of opinion.
Oh, but you're saying, you mean when you're incorrect as opposed to having a wrong opinion. Okay, I understand.
My grandmother always used to say, and that's what makes
obviously it's used in terms of saying, you like this or I like that one better, and then who knows who wins.
No, but I'm very impressed by your verbiage.
Oh, well, especially when I'm wrong.
No. I often, I love to learn words. Not that
what's interesting about this is the fact of, I think, especially when you find you've been either wrong or a little off, kilter, then you really remember that word and you use it. I remember I had a teacher once who said, when we'd have vocabulary as one did in high school, and he'd say, but you have to use the word 3 times today. Not in class, but whether talking to your mother or something.
Try to make it your own.
Well, exactly. Because if it's just something you it's never like a foreign language word.
Right. You never know it. The word, and I've told this story before, that I so got bollocksed up in my head as a younger person was the word protege. And I got protege somewhere in my head mixed up with prostitute.
But very often when you read about something, they'll say, this is protege.
Right?
Yeah, protege under the duvet.
I know, but so I remember once, and I think it was even like a Parade magazine that came with the Sunday paper, lying on my stomach on the floor. My family's all got.
So how old were you?
Maybe 11, 12.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, and everybody's reading the paper, and I'm down there reading, and I think it was something about. It was a famous actress. It was like, Marilyn Monroe was a protege of,
Well, she was.
She was never a protege, and it was some acting.
Yeah.
Actually, I know the acting teacher, and I can't think of his name now. And,
the actor's studio guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Strasberg.
Yeah, Lee Strasberg, yeah.
And I remember just stopping. I looked at that again and I thought, my head was just reeling. You mean you just put that down in the paper as if it were nothing? You just say that? She was his protege? Just like that? And I must have said something out loud, and that's when I suspect one of my parents put me right on protege and prostitute. But, you get mixed up sometimes with these words.
But there's sort of an interesting mixture, because both of them have in those words someone who has power over the other person.
That's right.
Because you're teaching, you're mentoring them. If someone's a protege, and you're paying for it if someone is a prostitute. For courtesan.
Well, there's a lot of the same letters.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this. I can see where it happened. Another misconception I had that I know my brother ridiculed me for was I didn't really understand what making out meant. I was so clueless. And I might have been about the same age, too. And I remember hotly saying to my brother, well, I would much rather make out with a boy than neck. And he looked at me like, what? And I don't know what I thought make out was. I didn't have a clue. God.
I'm sure if you asked teenage girls today, they'd be able to tell you in great detail the differences.
You got this, that, there, and the other thing. I don't know. They don't even do they use the word make out anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah? Not neck.
Or snog or whatever.
Or, spoon.
Well, was spoon meaning kiss?
No, I think, spooning was sort of, I mean, that's really old. That's like
20s or 30s, or maybe 19th century.
Yeah, but you're using spoon as like spoon when you're lying together, spoon. Yeah. No, I think spooning used to be more just sort of
honeymoon,
sitting. You want to spoon to my honey, I'll croon love's tune, honeymoon. I'm Italian in June. Your silvery beams will bring love's dreams. They'll be cuddling soon
by the
silvery moon.
That must be about even 19th century, I think.
No, early
20th. And it's probably one of those well-known composers, but I wouldn't know who.
Oh, I have no idea. All right, we'll stop. Anytime I start singing, things are going to hell. Okay, we'll remember.
You protege, you.
Oh, please. And we shall take a little break and be right back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Go to BurkeBargains.com for great deals on meals from your favorite local restaurants, museums, and shows. This week only, get discounts up to 20% on gift cards to P.F. Chang's. Supplies are limited. BurkeBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. BurkeBargains.com.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a pep talk that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You can improve your future. Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and for free classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn@pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Scratch quality.
All right, we are.
Well, Noreen
We're
called
back.
in.
Yeah, Noreen, we think you're right.
You're absolutely right. I was thinking of it inveigle, a third word, but at least it makes my...
That's probably what you...
my boo-boo
somewhere you got inveigle and invigilate.
Yeah. And I'm sure she has a vocabulary of 6 words, that little girl. But anyway.
So inveigle is to get information.
Well, to ask. I mean, very much like investigate, where you go in and you interrogate, and you sort of have honeyed words.
No, but inveigle.
But when did you stab him?
Inveigle has a more sort of underhanded.
Yeah, well, right. Well, sort of like what interrogation is in the sense cops can lie to get the truth out.
I think of interrogation as more aggressive, and inveigle as more.
Well, it's clever.
And subtle.
Because that's always very interesting, because I remember I know this through TV, so maybe it's absolutely wrong if any lawyers are out there. But when it's okay for the cops literally to lie in an interrogation, like to say someone is dead when they're not, or, Lynn already gave up the facts, Tom, if you don't want to be left hanging. And I think sometimes that they can do that, and sometimes they can't.
I have no idea.
I don't know, but it's interesting, I mean, the whole question becomes in the pursuit of the... Well, what was Barry Goldwater's famous line? extremism in defense of liberty or in defense of the truth.
In pursuit of, no. Extremism in defense of liberty is no vice.
There's no vice. So it'd be the same thing with truth. You know, if you want to get the murderer, you'll do anything to get the person to give up the information. But if a lawyer is out there, let us know if that is like waterboarding, if that's legal or not.
Well, I got bad news for you here. So if you're going to school in Oklahoma and you're in a biology class,
okay,
it could well be that by next year, if on a test you claim that humans and dinosaurs coexisted, that the teacher could not count that as an incorrect response.
Why?
Well, because. What do you mean, why?
Well, I mean, I can see some people believing, I don't.
It's science. It's a science class.
No, I know. Creationism. No. But we do know, I think even though, except the dumbest of the dumb, that we can age certain things, and we do know when the first man, the Homo sapiens, came up, and we do know when the dinosaurs died off. So forgetting about who created them and one came from the other, dinosaurs haven't been around for millions of years. Man has only been around, Homo sapiens, since when? I don't remember the date, but it's far.
Yeah, we came way after that. No, Gus Blackwell, a Republican, of course, a member of the Know Nothing Party, introduced this bill, and it's now made its way out of the Oklahoma Education Committee. Can you imagine an education committee?
That is an oxymoron.
That's right. And he says the legislation has nothing whatsoever to do with religion. It simply encourages scientific exploration.
From a 6-year-old kid.
It's just kid, it's beyond belief. Okay, so it's House Bill 1674, the latest in an ongoing series of what Republicans call academic freedom bills. And to Republicans, academic freedom now
means whatever the hell you want.
Believe whatever you want. So if a history book tells you that the Civil War was fought in large part because of slavery, and you have been told that that's not at all what it was about, and you say that's not true, well, then it's your academic freedom to believe what you want to believe, no matter what the book says, no matter what your teacher says, no matter what recognized reality is. And they say that it encourages teachers and students to question the scientific strengths and weaknesses of topics that are controversial, including biological evolution, the chemical origins of life, global warming, and human cloning. So they're saying in all of these instances of science where we're queasy because our religion doesn't believe in this stuff, a kid can not be penalized in any way for insisting that his minister's right and his science teacher is mistaken.
And to my mind, what's very interesting about that is, I mean, it's stupid. One doesn't have to go on and on. But the issue of what education does teach you, whether it's in all my learning, whether it's scientific and there's experiments and two chemicals, you mix them together and they poof or they don't poof, that's factual. Or in debate, who has the more logical argument. But it's all based on logic and fact, etc., not just on some sense of belief because Granny done told me. And the most awful thing about that is, I think we've talked about this before, but because of the nature of costs, textbooks that are produced across the country, there's only one textbook for like 6th grade biology or whatever it is, high school biology. And because Texas buys the most textbooks and Oklahoma in the whole country, whatever they and their school districts say, that's the book that's being used in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
I don't think it's quite that.
Well, by 5-10 years ago, it certainly was.
No, I know that there is that.
So you're stuck with these books that have to accept creationism, and other kind of mishigas. It's just...
Well, speaking of the Texas Board of Education, the Republican Party in Texas actually came out against teaching students critical thinking.
Oh, perfect, yeah. So whatever Mama done told me, you believe. Don't say, well, why, Mama?
And you know why they said they didn't think it was the job of a public school system to teach critical thinking because it undercut a parent in their rights to form their own child's mind.
And to my mind, that might be, all right, fair, I can see that.
What?
Wait. But you hope that one is the antidote for the other. And also you hope that you leave in that child's mind enough sense of inquiry that when he or she becomes a teen, let's say, I mean, in many cases much younger, they then will say, well, sorry, Mama, but you done me wrong, and I'm not going to follow your religion or your belief in multiple wives or your belief in beating the hell out of your kids when they sass. The other time when you were listening, I was listening to you, obviously we know what we think. And there are dreadful teachers and teachers who have their own weirdness and biases, or schools that have their weirdness and biases. But by and large, these teachers are pretty, mainstream. And to sort of say, well, if your mother told you 2 + 2 is 6, we live in a society. We don't live in, well, some of us live in shtetls, but we live in a society where the idea of question and discussion and are putting us in a situation where we have to defend our beliefs, which may be atypical and they may be sort of recondite, but we're going to defend them, and we defend them with fact. And that's what's wonderful about them. When you hear someone or a kid, whomever, I can see, when people talk about the liberal press, if you're more conservative, to have to, be clear. But at least if you're clear about it, and I'm sure we've all been in experiences with people who we disagree with. I remember you talked about Bork, interviewing him. But at least if they're doing it with clarity and not malice aforethought, it's actually, you could say, well,
you can have a very interesting conversation with them, right? Yeah. And you're smart, but you're coming... I don't come to the same conclusion.
You have an a priori
thingamabob,
but
Okay, so here, I want you also now, this comes out of our wonderful education system too, this next item, and closer to home, this is Pennsylvania, and in fact...
the home of the free and the brave.
Yeah. And this takes in the actually federal court, the U.S. Third Circuit Court of Appeals. Heard a case yesterday.
Okay.
You're not going to believe this.
Well, after the last two, what the hell?
This case has been making its way, through the judicial system for now 3 years, 4 years, whatever. It involves 2 young women who were middle school students at the time, Brianna Hawk and Kayla Martinez. And on Breast Cancer Awareness Day, they wore those rubbery bracelets that often have something.
Causes, yes.
And theirs were pink. Mm-hmm. And they said, "I heart boobies."
I think I heard something about this, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's what they said. "I heart boobies," and it was their way of showing support.
Solidarity, sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, of course, the school went insane.
Mm-hmm.
They were disciplined in some manner. I don't know. And essentially, so you have to realize they were disciplined for wearing breast cancer awareness bracelets.
Well, no, to be fair, probably if they had said, "I support
breasts,"
those.
I heart breasts.
I don't, but no, but what you just said was, it was the fact of boobies. It wasn't, I think,
Of course, it's boobies.
Yeah.
Now, boobies, the only thing if you look up boobies in a dictionary, all you're going to get is, I think a boobie is a bird.
I think you're right, but I'm not sure what.
And I think a boobie is extinct.
Oh.
And I think...
Or it was also used for a word like a little child who was maybe dopey or something, a little boobie or something.
Jess, look up boobie. Okay, B-O-O-B-I-E. I think a maybe Y. Because a booby, I believe, is a bird. I'm going to say
it's... Like a dodo bird?
I'm going to say it's...
A seabird. Okay.
And also a foolish person.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so...
But is the booby extinct?
Let's see.
Well, whatever. So a booby is...
But it doesn't say an affectionate term for a memory.
It doesn't. But kids use it that way.
Yeah.
And apparently kids call, like girls would call their breasts
young
boobies.
Girls, right.
Yeah. To them it has no sexual meaning. It is a descriptive term for a part of their body.
Especially for young girls, when all of a sudden they don't have any. Their little girls' chests look like little boys.
No, but these girls would have had them.
No. That's what I'm saying. And
yeah. So anyway, they get, blah, blah, blah. And the head of, the school district says that we banned the bracelets to encourage decorum in schools and to preserve the civility of discussion in the classroom. And this case, is making... The ACLU is there. And the ACLU lawyer is saying, she said boobies is for this cohort is it's an innocuous word. This is a word that these girls would use talking to their grandmothers about their breasts. And he said the school people representing the school said that even if it said "I heart breasts," they would have said the same thing. Get it out of here. Not allowed.
Breast is a word that shouldn't be used until the 11th grade or something.
And the person arguing for the school district said that a male student was overheard saying to one of the girls, "I heart your boobies."
Well,
it's that kind of thing that we have to stop. Yeah.
There's a T-shirt
I heart
for you.
Your boobies. Let's make a federal case out of it.
Get that copyrighted.
This is a federal friggin' case. I don't know. Thank God I'm not a taxpayer in this school district because I can't imagine. Easton area school district near Philly. This is how...
Well, you know what this is? This is a sort of legal reaction to political correctness.
Well, what they said, if it boils down in the court to, it's the school district is arguing it's a dress code issue, that they have a right to maintain a certain form of what students can wear.
But what if that child came in wearing a flag pin and that wasn't part of? Would they be sent home?
Oh no, if flag pins. Maybe if it's the wrong flag.
A Canadian flag.
So.
No, this is the point where when we were talking, or you spoke yesterday, when I had written in about the kids making a gun with their hand, or making a Lego gun, or the little girl with the Hello Kitty bubble gun. You have to sort of be able to be logical about it. But I suppose the problem is, and I'll give them 1 point for that. You let one of these things in, you have about violence, etc. And I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh, and then they just don't want us. You have to stonewall everything.
Yeah. So that's where they get these zero tolerance policy. We're just going to set it here, and we're not going to. Okay, Ray, for God's sakes. He says,
I love you, Ray. Do you need a boyfriend? You're so smart and so sweet.
Yeah, Tom is in love with you, but I think Ray's married.
Oh, well, your wife. We can bump her off, right?
I feel like a horse's ass for showing up, Tom. But
you taught me, sir, like a great mentor does.
And then Ray said, speaking of word usage, I have a very odd pet peeve about the term begs the question. I hear it used by well-spoken professionals to mean leads one to the next question. But begging the question is a very specific term, meaning that the conclusion is contained in the premise. And I go crazy if it's misused. A correct example would be, question, why is there such a demand for the new iPhone? Answer, there's a big demand because everyone wants one. That begs And he's saying that's... Oh, boy. See, Ray, this is where your head is working just...
You're so precise.
You're so... Good for you. I never quite understood begs the question, if you want to know the truth. I always thought it was, when something was apparent, that's begging the question. And maybe what I was thinking is closer to what the real meaning is.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, Ray says, my point is a little obscure information can make you an unpleasant conversationalist. That's true. You do have to know when to...
Yeah, sure. But I mean, it's always addition.
No, we're among friends here, and we all appreciate that kind of...
of course.
Yeah, I love, I love to talk about words.
Because it's always more important. Well, not more important. Well, yeah, important, but it's more pleasurable for me to speak with people who are smarter than I.
Yes.
You learn something.
That's right.
Unless you just want to be a windbag and
that's right. No.
Blather on.
Exactly right.
Although I can do that too.
Oh, can't we all?
Can't we all, yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. I feel like I'm living in a snow globe here.
I know. And it's so funny because it was yesterday or the day before, it was like this. It was snowing, almost white, and then
the
sunshine for half an hour, and then snow again.
Very odd. Anyway, this amounts to nothing.
And it's charmingly wintry.
Yes, it is.
And we expect to see Jimmy Stewart flying in on a sleigh or something.
Something like that.
Something like that. Oh, did you see I thought this was sort of cute. Some man... Have you ever been, parenthetically, have you ever been to the Jimmy Stewart Museum? It's in Indiana, PA.
I know. But
I've not been. I've passed it, but I've not been. But anyway, I guess it was on hard times.
And someone saved it, right?
Saved it, and not for a lot of money. I think it was $15,000 to put in a new boiler or something. And I always felt the urge to go there just to see it.
There was an interesting piece in an obit the other day of a man whose last name was Carr, K-E-R-R, whether it's Kerr or Carr, I don't know. And he was an actor. Okay, I'm going to be interrupted. Why am I always interrupted? Okay, take it. Hello.
Hi, guys. PJ from Greensburg.
Hi, PJ.
Hey, this whole conversation today, I would just recommend anybody that's listening to this conversation today read just the segment of Through the Looking Glass, the conversation between Alice and Humpty Dumpty. Not to suggest that that's you two, but just the discussion of words. And at one point, Humpty says, words can mean whatever I want them to mean.
Is that what Humpty says?
And then Alice responds, well, something about, well, they mean what they mean. And he says, no, it's just a question of who will be the master of them. Well, but it seems to be coursing through your conversation today about science and boobies and the whole thing. And I would just recommend that everybody go back and read Through the Looking Glass one more time.
Well, another thing on that.
That's a great recommendation.
I'm trying to remember. I think it's Great Expectations, one of Dickens' novels. I may be wrong on this, someone correct me, but it was one of Dickens' novels, and there's a section where a schoolmaster is there, and he asks for the definition of a horse. And this little girl whose name is Sissy Jupe, and I remember that's actually on target. And she said, oh, a horse is a wonderful, big, warm thing, and it has this roan-colored, and it neighs, it will lick you, and it eats apples, and the school teacher says, no, facts, facts, facts. And he calls upon a little boy who then stands up and says, a quadruped with blah, 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 blah. And teacher says, yes. And Sissy Jupe, come and have your hand slapped or something. But that emotional sense of what a horse is as opposed to a taxonomic definition.
Yeah. Well, the poetic rather than the clinical.
Right,
yeah, right,
exactly.
Hey, did you two see the giant, awful sculpture in San Diego?
The giant, awful sculpture.
Is that the Marilyn Monroe one, or
no? It's the same sculptor, though. He did the famous World War II Times Square kiss.
Oh yes,
yes.
In giant, and put it in the port of San Diego. Yeah. It's so bad. All right, I'll see you guys.
Bye.
Great. And
that's a shame because that's that fabulous. I think is it Eisenstadt? No. I can't remember the man's name.
Oh no! The picture.
Yeah,
it might have been. I don't know that. I don't know if he took that picture. He's a marvelous
I remember they found out.
They found the couple,
man and the woman.
Yeah,
it's a great picture.
It was a great picture.
It's emblematic.
Great picture. Oh, this just in: boobies are not extinct. Thank you, Colette.
Oh,
I love them. They got blue bills and blue feet.
They could almost be on Sesame Street.
They have blue feet. Oh, are they cute? I heart boobies.
And you were going to kill them off.
No, I heart boobies, and I'm so glad they're alive and well. They're the cutest things. Yeah. God bless them.
We may even have one at the National AIDS Day.
There might be. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Look how cute that is.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Pittsburgh City Paper's annual money issue is available now. Pick up one today for a unique look at financial issues in the region. Plus, this week's City Paper includes our inaugural education pullout, Decisions for the Future. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
I didn't know about chronic obstructive pulmonary disease until I took the wheel and lent my support to Drive for COPD. Help Americans take action against this leading cause of death by logging on to driveforcopd.org to learn more. I'm Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson, and I drive for COPD.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen live at pghcitypaper.com.
Actually, we were just talking about the ACLU in regard to boobies and all that, and how, yes, I'm a new member of the ACLU board, a state board, and I had this orientation session on Monday that was fascinating. Mm-hmm. And Vic Walczyk,
who's fabulous,
who's fantastic. He's the legal head of the state ACLU.
Oh, the state. I didn't want to. I knew he was
at
the
the
local
state
thing. But
he's
a marvelous fellow.
He's brilliant. He's the state guy. And he gave us a presentation, and he said essentially, people love to hate the ACLU.
Yeah, of course.
And it's because the ACLU takes extremely unpopular positions. And he said when he tries to explain to people what it is the ACLU does, he breaks it down to the last lines of the Pledge of Allegiance. With liberty and justice for all. And he said, people understand the liberty, people understand justice. The part they forget
is for all.
For all.
Well, let me tell you
that's where the ACLU stands.
Well,
I was
once the what would you say it? I was once attacked by the ACLU. Can you imagine? Not attacked, but we had on the side of the local museum on General Robinson Street, at one point, a number of city paper, it's kiosks for the papers, and then it was one of the gay papers at the time, Out, or I can't remember the other one. And the bus people called us, and the city told us that really we should get rid of these things because they're in the way, and traffic that's a very bad corner there. So I just said, we're going to take those down. And the head of the gay paper called up Vic. And he called me up and he said, "Oh, Tom, well, this is a matter." I said, "I'm not against having the gay paper here, especially given the World Museum, but it's just but it was put in a position like I was censoring them." And I said, "Duh, you got to be kidding."
Yeah.
But it was funny because I would have thought, I'm not a neo-Nazi. I'm not a Ku Klux Klaner.
I was concerned because there are times that the ACLU is on the side of something, and I just can't. Mm-hmm. I can't abide it. I can't stand it. And a few new board members were told that. I think Vic said this. If you disagree with us 50% of the time, you should definitely be a member.
Right.
And if you disagree with us even more, you should be on the board because the board is there to.
Well, just like what we were talking about the school teachers, it's sort of if you don't let Nazi speak, let's say, out there, then there's no way for you to be able to logically disabuse them. But if you have to sort of have it hidden away, that's how these things grow in these covens in the middle of the state.
No one ever
militiamen comes, and then they come out, and there's a shooting or something.
Well, and it comes down to it's always easy to be for free speech when the speech is something everybody agrees on.
Of course.
And free speech gets troublesome. I always call it the pesky First Amendment when people are speaking and saying things that are absolutely revolting and noxious to you.
Right.
But that's where the ACLU steps in. So anyway, a fantastic organization.
When do they date from, Lynn? I wonder. Not this 20th century or earlier?
No, it's the 20th century. It's what did they tell us? It's not as old as you think.
And who was where was the first chapter?
I don't know. I'll have to do more reading.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering.
They gave me a history in 1920 was when it first came into being.
Interesting. Wow.
Okay. All right. So it's almost. Oh, that's right. He said we're coming up on our 100th anniversary. So
So get your checkbooks out, people. No, seriously.
Okay.
Well, you see, the 20s is interesting because you think it's just at that point when people who were immigrants were beginning to have positions of power. They were beginning to have businesses. They came to this country, let's say, in 1898 with their little pedal carts, and then all of a sudden they owned the big hosiery store on, Smithfield or something.
It's the story of my grandfather.
Well, all of our grandfathers.
Right.
And then they could, do it, and then people would say, oh, that Jew or that Polak or whatever. And that would be the perfect time because America was not as homogeneous as it had been.
Right.
So that makes perfect sense.
Well, I was telling you this story, and it shows how I don't know how petty I can be, but so there was this obit for an actor who I recognized him. I didn't recognize his name, but he was most famous. We're South Pacific, the musical.
Yes. The guy who played the lieutenant.
Right.
He died, a few weeks ago, a month ago or something.
John Kerr, I think his name is. Anyway, his movie career sort of came to a screeching halt when he was offered the lead in a movie that was going to be called The Spirit of St. Louis. And because it was about Lindbergh and his amazing crossing of the Atlantic. And he turned down the part. And this was going to be his first starring role. He turned down the part because he found Charles Lindbergh to be a repulsive human being who stood for horrible things because he was a neo-Nazi, essentially. He refused the part. Pretty much finished him off.
Yeah, and then didn't he become either, what did it say, a lawyer?
He later became a lawyer. And the person who took that part was Jimmy Stewart. And it reminded me that Jimmy Stewart, as a man,
nice whitewashing to Lindbergh.
As a man,
Jimmy
was
Stewart,
always, he's a very conservative Republican. And, I just love him in the movies. I
always
love
played
him.
The quintessential American.
Oh, he's wonderful. But, so, here's where, Jimmy Stewart didn't have any problem with making Lindbergh into, again, a hero. But the principle that this John Kerr stood by, I think, is just impressive.
Well, what's very interesting about it, made me think, just when you said that, Lindbergh did do something very extraordinary.
Amazing,
with that flight. But that doesn't whitewash everything, and it's the same thing I was just thinking of. We were talking about Oscar Pistorius.
Pistorius, because.
In his case, it was even a double whammy because he was born and then had to have his legs amputated, and then sort of overcame that, and then gets all of this over-the-top, excessive adulation, let alone money, let alone, when you sign up for, sponsorships. And then whether or not he shot the girl intentionally or not, but then they just come tumbling down. And that just sort of says something in our society about where we put importance. I mean, whether it's Tiger Wood or it's
we love
Ben Roethlisberger or it's
Well, we love winners, and we love tough people and people who overcome things.
Yeah.
And if what we're seeing is all positive.
No, but not overcome things. I mean, Pistorius did overcome. I'll give him that, in spades. But, Roethlisberger, Tiger Woods, many of these sports figures.
We love winners.
Well, winners, but they didn't overcome something.
No.
So they did hard, and how's that different from you working hard to be a journalist? It's no different whatsoever.
Well, now when it comes to Tiger Woods, though, I have to say, what he did is no different than what 100 million other men do. What, he was screwing around on his wife? Is that why?
No, but I mean, it's the numbers. I mean, he was Brobdinagi.
I mean, all that does is show how sort of sad and pathetic
it's like, those of you who are opera lovers, the Don Giovanni, the reprobate and what have you, there's this song, The List, that his surgeon sings, and he's saying like, oh, and in Spain and in Germany he had 32 mistresses, but in España, 1,003, but in Spain he had 103 girls. It's, but I mean, that is pushing it. I mean, really,
I don't know. I have to tell
it
you.
It should fall off. I mean,
well, no, as I think when a man is found to
be randy as a goat.
No, he's got a problem. I mean,
exactly.
There's a sickness going on there. There's some kind of need that it's an addiction. That's a sexual addiction. And I feel sorry for. I've never joined the group that's all over Tiger Woods because I feel like he has an illness. I do.
But then the funny part of it is, no, you're right. And if he has an illness, and I'll agree with that, then we should stand behind him and say, well, he has an illness, but he still is a great golfer.
Yeah.
But all the people for the sponsorships are going to say, no.
No, but we can't. I understand that. But, I mean,
Well, I don't in a funny way. I mean, if you're going to celebrate his sport, then celebrate his sport, and he is a genius at it. We're not putting...
No, but once he becomes a controversial figure, he doesn't work for a corporate,
exactly.
You're going to...
So you're a puppet, although I suppose I'd be a puppet for $10 million, too. But.
Now, people screw around.
Yeah, sure.
And there's this news that this former senator, Pete Domenici, who's now 81 years old or 80 years old, fathered a child 30-some years ago when he was a senator, and he fathered the child with another senator's daughter. So a woman much younger than he. Yeah. And these are two senators whose states, if my geography is right, are adjacent and who are good friends. I mean, Pete Domenici is New Mexico, and the daughter he had a one-night stand with was the daughter of Paul Laxalt, who was the senator from Nevada.
And what's interesting is, according to NPR, the wag who was talking yesterday said that it probably would not have come to light, but someone got wind of it.
Someone was
so they thought he would come out rather than have it be on the front page.
Well, they agreed, apparently, that when she knew she was pregnant, that they would keep this quiet.
Oh, so Laxalt knew?
That I don't know.
Okay. Oh, you mean the girl?
The mother, and he, the parents of this child, who's now an attorney, and they just wanted to spare their child this.
Right.
He had a wife and 8 children. It didn't break his marriage up. He goes on and lives with, lives out his life. She raises a child her child as a single parent. They both acknowledge that they did something wrong, and there was no relationship there. It was just a one night, and if you somehow have managed to live your life without ending up in bed with somebody that the next morning you regretted, then I feel sorry for you, I mean, life, people...
things happen.
And it's sad that they got outed like this so late. I mean, her father's still alive, and he's 90. Domenici's 80 and has some incurable brain disease. This is sad. They came out...
especially when, all right, maybe in the normative way, it didn't turn out people... But they seem to have a happy life. The girl's a lawyer,
Yeah, and here's the thing. These are 2 Republicans, okay, and these are the, Family Values Party and all that, and one Family Values guy is screwing the other's daughter, and, if that had been known, I mean, his career would be gone, and yet
we're all flawed.
Yeah, that's why beating up on Tiger Woods is stupid. why do we do it? You know, there's something in the human, there's something we love about falling in love with somebody and putting them on a pedestal and then wearying of them or loving seeing them fall.
Well, that question
you
of
love the
what's
fall.
That old saying? What goes up must come down.
Yeah, well, but I don't know.
Well, it goes back to the Greeks, the whole notion of heroics. I mean, the very beginning of the Iliad, wrath, which is the first word. I can't remember the word in Greek.
Is the first word wrath?
Yeah, wrath. It's like, and basically it's because Achilles is pissed off because someone stole his girlfriend. So he sits out the Trojan War for months and months because he's pissed off and he's the big guy. And so even back then, the hero, and it's all about, like, who's the bigger hero, who isn't, you know, booby.
Okay, no, we got something on the Dickens story you're talking about is Hard Times.
Okay, not great.
And here it is. Oh, how wonderful. Girl number 20, said Mr. Gradgrind. You know, one thing Dickens did, the words, the names. Girl number 20, said Mr. Gradgrind, squarely pointing with his square forefinger. I don't know that girl. Who is that girl? Sissy Jupe, sir, explained number 20, blushing, standing up and curtsying. Sissy is not a name, said Mr. Gradgrind. Don't call yourself Sissy, call yourself Cecilia. My father calls me Sissy, sir, returned the young girl in a trembling voice. Then he has no business to do it, said Mr. Gradgrind. Tell him he mustn't. Cecile Jupe, let me see. What is your father? He belongs to the horse riding, if you please, sir. Mr. Gradgrind frowned and waved off the objectionable calling with a hand. We don't want to know anything about that here, blah, 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 blah. Give me your definition of a horse. Okay, and do you want to...
Oh, well, it just goes on at great length.
It goes on, and then...
But the boy says, he calls on this kid who says, quadruped, gramnivorous, 40 teeth, namely 24 grinders, 4 eye teeth, 12 incisive, sheds coat in the spring in marshy countries, sheds hoofs too, hoofs hard, but requiring to be shod with iron, age known by marks in mouth, thus and much more. Now, girl number 20, you know what a horse is.
Isn't that interesting that you remembered that?
Yeah, well, that's because it was always a perfect example of separating the quantifiable from the emotional, the emotive. Hard times.
Gradgrind.
Oh, his names. There's so many of them. Are so fabulous.
Oh, you know what? Sissy is not a name. Can you imagine standing up in a class and being told that your name is not a name? That happened to me.
Oh, I remember that too. One time there was a girl in our class whose anglicized mother's maiden name, these nuns, was, she said, Kasper Zicki. And then this old nun said, no, that's wrong. It's Kaspritsky. And she was right. But this girl had never heard the nun
that's
was
not
like
what
saying,
her parents
your whole
called
family
her.
are stupid. You are Kaspritsky.
Well, I went to, this is really embarrassing. My first day at school, it'd be kindergarten, I was asked what my name was, and, well, here I'm going to out myself here. I said Ninu Miller. Ninu Miller. And the teacher said, no, it's not. Can you imagine the first time you are told in front of the whole class that you do not know your own name? Ninu Miller. She said, that is not your name. Your name is Ida Lynn Miller. And I remember going home and saying to my mom, Mom, the teacher said my name is not Ninu. And then she, oh, honey, well, we call you that, but no, your name is, your, given name is, and then I find out my name's Ida. I did not know that. Jesus Christ. I have to tell you.
Ida, is there anything
It was right there that I decided I would not be called Ida. And I told the teacher, you call me Lynn. But my family to this day calls me Ninu. It's a family nickname. It's
yeah.
That's what, everybody in my family calls me that, Ninu. It's just a silly little baby talky name. But the mortification of being told that's not your name.
Oh, God.
It's a wonder I went on to relative success in school. Right. Jeez, that's not your name. No.
And if your name had been Ida, you would have been the notion counter Kaufman.
And Joellen, and then we're going to have to stop. I could not disagree with you more on the bracelet. It is disruptive and one more issue for teachers and administration to deal with. The boy who said, "I heart your boobies," could have been suspended for verbal sexual harassment. You're always saying we need common sense. I agree. Where was the common sense of the parent? This is inappropriate for school. My son was sent home from school for wearing flannel pajama bottoms with the Playboy bunny logo all over them. The logo with the bunny ears, no boobies, no words, just the logo. My reaction? I was mortified. I have no idea where he even got the PJs. He knew I would not have allowed that attire at school. He wanted to cause a disruption. He got it. I would never have continued the disruption by demanding his constitutional rights, although he may technically been within his rights. It was inappropriate school attire.
Well, except the only thing there is she didn't. I mean, there wasn't what he wore to bed. He got it someplace. So in that case, he was being disruptive in a sense. Whereas the girls...
Well, you're not supposed to wear your pajamas to school.
Well, number one. But the girls weren't doing it to be
It was actually, they didn't make those bracelets. Those bracelets were part of, obviously, who put them out.
Just like, what's his name, Lance Armstrong's things.
Well, okay, Joellen. Well, that's why it's a federal case. There's people on both sides of it. And in fact, it's...
but see, the interesting thing there, though, is,
decided.
I mean, now, how we don't know how old the boy was who said that. But when you would
Middle
say that's...
school.
Okay, that's sexual harassment. I don't think a boy saying, "I like your boobies," is sexual harassment.
Oh, yes, it is, though.
Well, it probably is. But, I mean, that's...
You know what? Yeah, it is. No, I agree. Half of my life was being sexually harassed because it didn't exist. I mean, that's what women put up with all the time. And now it's gotten so far that, a boy saying, "I love your boobies," which a girl could just roll her eyes and say, screw you, can be, if a girl wants to make a federal case, can be a federal case.
Because the reason I say it is it's not to defend men by any means. But, did he even know really what that meant? I mean, was he really saying, "Oh, I love your boobies"?
He was making a joke.
Well, making a joke, and the boobies to him is something sexual. I mean, as I said earlier,
well, he knows
how
what
these
boobies
kids,
are.
girls who are what's the word? When they start prepubescent, some become quite chesty early, and they're just seen as anomalous. I don't think they're seen as whores or proteges.
No, but girls are getting boobs.
Oh, sure.
Earlier and earlier and earlier. So
it's Wonder Bread.
You think it's the Wonder Bread?
Oh, well,
I think it's the hormones in milk.
Well, milk, all these products.
That's right.
I mean, the fish in the mon are hermaphroditic. So
I know. The fish in the mon have 6 or 7 breasts.
Oh, jeez.
They really heart
That must make some filet. We're going to have the 6-boobied filet with mignon sauce tonight, dears.
All right.
On that lovely note.
And by the way, somebody suggested, was it PJ, that I was confusing boobies, the bird.
Yes.
Thinking they were extinct, with dodos.
Dodos, I remember.
And that's right. But if you stop and think, both are names of birds that also mean bird brain.
Yeah, right,
for us.
Right.
You're a dodo or you're a booby. And so no wonder I got mixed up.
Well, and I think it came from the point, I mean, which does not have anything to do with evolution, I suppose, but that these birds were too dumb to be able to evolve. I mean, their structure was such they couldn't learn to adapt to
I think the dodo was a flightless bird, for one thing.
You are right. They couldn't evolve,
But there are still flightless birds that exist.
Yeah, penguins.
And ostriches.
And ostriches, yes.
And who knows what else. At any rate, we've got to stop this because we've gone over our time.
Oh, my.
Yes.
How presumptuous of us.
Yes, indeed. So thank you very much, as usual, Mr. Sokolowski.
the wounded wordsmith and the protege.
And the protege. Oh, God, of women of such ill repute.
Yes.
Okay, I got to go.
See you next week.
Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.